From Amazon scoring the rights to one of the best sci-fi shows ever made, to some big dogs showing interest in bringing the franchise back to life, it seems like the universe is finally working its magic to bless us with a Stargate remake. So here's everything you have to know about it. It looks like things are finally starting to pick up pace. According to Deadline, Amazon Studios is in early talks to bring back Stargate for both TV and film projects. The franchise's original movie came out way back in 1994, and since then it spawned several series, including Stargate SG-1. The fandom has been waiting for this moment for years, and now it's finally here. Before I spill all the details on the upcoming remake, we have to talk about the story so far. So, it all started when Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich's sci-fi film hit theaters in 1994, and even though the critics' reception was average, the movie's audience reception was quite the opposite affair. Opposite enough that it set the record for the highest grossing opening weekend for a film debut in the month of its release. The reception from audiences marked the beginning of the Stargate fandom, and the franchise soon expanded to television. In 1997, SG-1 debuted, and it quickly became a hit with audiences and critics alike. The military sci-fi series won multiple awards and nominations during its 10-season run, and became one of the longest-running sci-fi series in American television history, and it spawned several other projects too. It's safe to say that Stargate went on to define the sci-fi genre for years to come, and pretty much became one of the most influential science fiction works of our time. As the 30th anniversary of the franchise approaches, now would be an optimal time to revive it for a new generation. While Amazon hasn't announced a timeline for any new Stargate projects, 2024 would be a fitting year for its return, given its enduring legacy and resonance with audiences for several decades. But is that really going to be the case though? Well, probably not, but that doesn't mean that there's no hope at all. Basically, despite Emmerich saying a few years ago that a return to the big screen was unlikely, Amazon's recent acquisition of MGM has given the franchise a new lease on life. Also, Deadline's report doesn't give us too many deets, but we do know that Amazon is focusing on the movie installation first, with the accompanying series to follow. This is huge for Stargate, especially since Emmerich had already been in talks with MGM about a reboot since 2015, but the project was later put on hold in 2020. And even though nothing is confirmed yet, I'm hoping he will be involved. Devlin might also be in on it too, but he's got his hands full with his current hit series, The Ark. It's shaping up to be a competition of who's going to attach themselves to each revived project, with A-list creators already expressing interest in getting their hands on their favorite MGM titles. Amazon Studios is also going to use its own talent to help develop these new titles. Speaking of A-listers, who's actually into the idea of putting together a new Stargate as of right now? Well, remember when the YouTube channel Dial the Gate dropped a hot report about what's happening with our favorite franchise? According to a video they dropped a while back called State of the Gate, some big players were really interested in bringing Stargate back to life. Reportedly, Mark Fergus and Hawk Otsby, the guys behind the sci-fi series The Expanse, the producers of the smash hit Amazon series The Boys, and J.J. Abrams' production company Bad Robot are all in the mix. This news came from marketing guru Jenny Stiven. She said that Amazon put out a call for pitches from production companies, and some heavy hitters like Fergus and Otsby jumped at the chance to pitch a Stargate project. Also, Deadline spilled the tea on the A-list creative auspices that are hitting up Amazon Studios to get in on that MGM IP action too. Plus, Amazon's own squad of talent, including the Expanse crew, is in on it too. Joseph Malazzi, the producer of the Stargate franchise, tweeted that there's been no involvement from any of the original creatives in the reboot. So who knows what we're in for? Will it be a total revamp or a fresh new take? Either way, things have changed since the Amazon acquisition. Now, some of you might remember that Brad Wright, the creator behind SG-1 and Atlantis, was working on a new project with MGM. Yeah, well, the variables are blown apart, and the old equation that Brad's pilot was a part of no longer exists. Ouch. But let's stay positive. With some major players vying for the chance to bring our beloved franchise back to life, it's the perfect time to be a Stargate fan. I can't wait to see what Fergus and Otsby or any of the other production companies in the mix have in store for us. Now let's talk about the franchise's potential for expansion. It's like the perfect fit for the current industry landscape that's all about creating cinematic cinematic universes. But unfortunately, reboot plans kept getting scrapped for a variety of reasons, and we were left wanting more. But with Amazon now owning everything MGM has to offer, the timing couldn't be better for new projects set in the world of Stargate to be developed and released. This will give a new generation the chance to get familiar with the series, and maybe even become fans themselves. But let's be real, this isn't the first time they've tried to bring back the franchise. Remember that so-so miniseries Stargate Origins? In 2018, the Atlantis star Joe Flanagan tried to save the franchise too, but failed. Even co-creator Brad Wright couldn't make a reboot happen. After SG-1 and Atlantis wrapped, Stargate Universe tried to keep the sci-fi vibes alive, but low ratings killed it before a third season, and that's how the franchise met its end. Will the reboot be the comeback we've been waiting for? Who knows? But one this is for sure. It's no secret that Hollywood loves to reboot and revive old franchises instead of creating anything new. I mean, have you seen the cringe-worthy Quantum Leap and MacGyver reboots? So why hasn't Amazon jumped on gold mines like RoboCop and Stargate yet? They are clearly not afraid to spend some serious cash on their Lord of the Rings experiment. Don't get me wrong, some reboots have been great, like Battlestar Galactica, Lost in Space, and The Tick. So maybe if a Stargate remake is successful, it could open the door for other classic sci-fi shows to be revived as well. Now let's talk numbers, because at the end of the day, this is what's going to decide if we get a remake or not. Let's start by taking a look at how SG-1 dealt with this. And while no one can seem to agree on how much each episode of SG-1 cost to produce, one thing is certain: the show's budget grew as it gained more and more fans. But compared to the whopping $8 million per episode that reportedly goes into Star Trek Discovery, SG-1's budget back in 1995 was just chump change at around $4 million. But that'll still be nothing compared to a modern reimagining of the franchise. That VFX isn't going to come in cheap at all, but that isn't the only thing these guys are probably worried about. Let's not forget about the format. Gone are the days of 22-episode seasons, folks. Nowadays, we're lucky if we get half that. Even Battlestar Galactica was dishing out 20 episodes per season. But imagine what could be accomplished with some upgraded VFX tech and a VR wall. No more relying on Vancouver to stand in for every damn planet out there. Of course, we still don't know how the show will be rebooted or what direction the story will take. But I've got at least one piece of good news for y'all. At this year's Basingstoke Comic-Con in May, the majority of the Atlantis cast will be there, and it's going to get a ton of press. You can bet people will be grilling them for all the deets. And as a bonus, all 3 Stargate shows are currently streaming on both Netflix and Amazon Prime. So that's something that'll keep you guys busy until anything new comes up. That'll have to do it today for all the details you needed to know about the Stargate remake. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.